Have you ever been taken for a walk by a dog? You think that it's going to be you taking the dog for a walk, but actually it's the other way round. Or at least that's the case with our dog. The second that I step outside of our house, he's off. And I have no choice but to try to keep up as best as I can as he strains on his lead to get to his favourite path. And at the end of it, he's still wagging his tail, ready for more. And I'm the one who's panting for breath and just wanting to curl up and go to sleep. It was this image of a dog straining on its lead that popped into my mind when I read the passage from Philippians that we heard earlier. Forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenwards in Christ Jesus. Think of a wedding couple so eager and excited for the big day to come that they're straining towards what is ahead, especially if they've had to put off their wedding several times due to COVID. Or a student about to go off for the freedom of university for the first time. That might feel like the same kind of thing. The problem is that while they are straining towards what is ahead, I'm guessing that in both cases, the parents are likely to be looking back and wondering where the time has gone and looking ahead more reluctantly because they don't want to lose what they've got. Moving on is hard. It may seem that Paul is talking glibly here of just turning his back on the past and everything that has meant so much to him, his heritage that he's so proud of, and straining towards the goal that will take him to Jesus forever. But for him, that's no glib comment. He is proud of his past. He talks about all that he is and all that he has done over and over in his letters. But they pale into insignificance next to Jesus. Think of when Jesus called the disciples to follow him. They were a motley crew with all sorts of different jobs and from all sorts of different backgrounds. But when Jesus called, they forgot what was behind and strained towards what was ahead, a life with Jesus. It all sounds so simple, doesn't it? To turn your back on the past and all that you've known, but it really isn't that easy. We all have personal memories of times past, some good and some bad. Some we wish we could forget, others we will cling to for life because they are so precious. But life is a journey, and we cannot stay where we are indeterminately. We have to move on into the unknown, putting the past behind us and facing the new challenges that will come our way. When Paul wrote to the Christians in Philippi, he needed them to remember who he once was in order to be able to get his point across. At one point, Paul had been such a good and devout Pharisee. He spent all of his time and resources pursuing and persecuting Christians because he felt that was the right thing to do. By the time that he writes his letters, he's changed course so much that he now spends all of his time and resources pursuing Christ. And since then, he's been stoned and flogged and imprisoned and shipwrecked, you name it, all for the sake of Christ. He'd been so proud of what he was and did as a Pharisee, where he thought he could earn his salvation through works and discipline. But now he has realized that his salvation cannot be earned by anything that he does. It comes through the grace of God alone. He's been called heavenward, and all of his focus, all of his determination is fixed on making it to the end to receive his reward. Paul is reminding his readers that though we are saved by the grace of Christ, it's not a slow and easy amble to heaven. It takes focus, determination, discipline to get us there, because there are many things along the way that will try to trip us up. Do you remember Linford Christie when he ran the 100 metres race? I can remember the cameras zooming in on his eyes before he started to run. They were wide open, focusing on one thing only, and that was the finishing line. That was where he needed to be, and nothing was going to distract him from it. Life can throw all kinds of things our way. Temptations that keep seeking to derail us, illnesses and grief to overcome, family frustrations, friends letting us down, global issues that affect us all. The list is endless. And sometimes we can handle it, and other times it takes all of our effort just to get out of bed in the morning and face a new day. And I'll bet that Paul had days like that too. Surely he must have had days when he was imprisoned or whipped or beaten for his faith, when he wondered what he'd done in saying yes to Jesus, and looking back to the relatively simple days in comparison as a Pharisee. But Paul knows that looking back doesn't get you anywhere. Well, you've got to forget what is behind and focus fully on the goal ahead, and put everything into the tasks that Jesus calls us to. It isn't easy. Paul knew that. He talked about his thorn in the flesh and being torn between wanting all the torture and everything to be over so that he could be with God, and yet needing to tell more people about Jesus. But pressing on is the work of a Christian. Our faith is a journey. We've been saved by grace through faith in order to bear fruit. We know that the journey will be tough, but we keep our eyes fixed on Jesus and the promise of eternity with him. So let's put the past firmly behind us, giving thanks for the good memories that we have, putting down and forgiving others and ourselves for the bad memories. And then let's strain towards the new road that God is taking us on, asking him to guide us on our way as we press on in our service of him. We sing together the song, I Cast My Mind to Calvary.